All right, how's it going, guys? This is Chris from BowHunterPlanet, and we're coming here with our tech series videos. What we're going to do today is we are going to be installing the XFC drop-away arrow rest from Trophy Taker, and we're going to be installing it today on the brand new 2018 Matthews Tri-X. Okay, so first thing I like to do once I get the rest out and I'm all set to go is I want to take inventory of everything I have. The worst thing you can do is start tearing your bow down and come to find out you're missing some pieces. So first thing you want to make sure, of course, you got the arrow rest. You're going to have your mounting screw, which should come with some kind of washer. You're also going to have a shelf silencing pad. So this is what you can put on your somewhere on your shelf where you're worried about getting arrow contact or arrow clatter when the arrow rest isn't engaged. And you're also going to have a arrow rest or arrow, I guess, holder where you can mount it to keep your arrow to the center, as well as some 3M adhesive to hold that down. Also, cool thing about the XFC is it does come with full instructions, so if you have any questions besides looking at the video, of course, you can get some tips and advice on how to do that. Only thing you're going to need to mount this is a 3/16 Allen wrench, or just one of the handy like Archer's Allen wrench kits. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to get the Whisker Biscuit off. Whisker Biscuits for a long time have been a very popular arrow rest design. A lot of guys really like them. But of course, the modern trend is going more towards drop-away arrow rests, mainly because of the performance we can get out of them and the tunability you can get as well. So, simple as you go, you'll look right to the side of the arrow, or side of the arrow rest. It's going to mount straight in here. Be very careful when installing this in that you aren't cross-threading this screw. If you do cross-thread this is straight into your riser, so you're going to cause a lot of damage and probably be out of a bow for a couple months while the manufacturer tries to fix it. It can be a very costly repair. So definitely start it up with your fingers, get it going, and then snug that down. Once you got that snug, make sure your arrow rests nice and level and flat. I like to set my initial setups with the arrow rest touching right against the back of the grip. So the very top, right against the back, that's going to give us a good starting point for center shot. You can also take this cable, pull down on it, and kind of see where your arrow is going to go once you have that set up. So that's how you mount that straight to the bow. Give it a little snug, make sure it's nice and tight. Now most of these, especially the XFC and other Trophy Taker rests, do have a retention bolt that you can tighten this down right here. And what that's going to do, it's going to put a little extra pressure on that bolt to keep it nice and tight and snug down. All right, now that we got that bolted up, we're going to go ahead and we're going to check center shot on the bow. So what I like to do is set an arrow on there, give it a nice little pull down, get it a little bit away from my eye, kind of line up the cams straight through the cam string grooves, and then check the center shot to make sure it's lined up. We do have a lot of cool tools. There's lasers and things of that nature you can mount to here. But we've already got our sight on here, so we don't want to be taking that off. That's already pretty much dialed in. And we're going to use that later for our references. So now that we've got center shot pretty close, we're just a hair to the left, we're just a hair outside. We want to be set that so that it's straight, dead nuts right in the middle, especially when we go to paper tune this later. So what we're going to do is we're going to break this loose, and we're going to gently slide it in just a touch and tighten that back down. Now if you're moving these bolts around a lot, you're going to want to make sure that you're putting some kind of Loctite or something. Not that's going to be permanent, but definitely something you can break loose eventually, especially because of how much vibration and movement you're going to be getting in those. All right, so now that we got that on, we'll go to the tricky part. So the way I like to do it, there's a lot of different ways to mount your drop-away cable to your down cable. Some people will feed it through the center of the cable. Personally, I'm not a big fan of that. I like to have some adjustment options, as well as if it fails in the field, I'm able to fix it. So a nice thing about these Matthews is they do serve through the roller guard area, so we have a nice hard stop here at the bottom. So what I like to do is take this and just simply tie 1/2 of a D-loop knot, and I'll snug that down and get it nice and tight. Okay, once I got that nice and tight, I can double check and I can see how much pressure I have on that simply by pulling it back and checking timing. Now I don't have a bunch of tension on that cable and it's not pulling adversely on the cable to affect timing issues, so I know I'm pretty much set up to go. Now, if I was to have any issues, I can change where that D-loop knot is tied, maybe apply a little bit more serving here and there. So now that I've got this tied on in the position I like, I'm going to take my scissors and very carefully get them towards the end of that cable, and I'll untie this knot. Reason why I untie that knot is because I'm going to put an open flame to the end of it, and I want to keep that as far away from my cables as possible. I'll just tap it against the side of the lighter a little bit. Heat that up. Once I have a little ball there going, I'll just press that right against the side of the lighter, giving it a little mushroom effect. Then I can come right back here, retie that knot, and snug it down. Now that is already installed. Now all I have to do is mount the arrow rest for where the arrow will rest before I actually draw it back, and I'll mount that by just putting the 3M adhesive on one side. All right, now that we got that off, we're gonna go ahead and place this just towards the center. That way we can get that nice and secure. We're gonna wait to put the padding on the side because we're gonna wanna see exactly where we're gonna need it if we do need it. But we're gonna go ahead and start actually getting some shots through this and making sure everything's working correctly. All right, now that we've got the XFC drop away arrow rest installed, we're gonna go ahead and take a couple shots through this, make sure everything's in good working order and nice and tight. Yeah, so one great feature of this is it is a full capture arrow rest. So we do have an actual area where the rest will move out of the way so you can feed it in. Especially if you're in a tight blind situation, you want your arrow out in front, you can go ahead and push that through, knock that arrow, and you're good to go. All right, so that's the full installation on how you're gonna set up one of the Trophy Taker XFC arrow rest. Again, very simple, very quick, easy to do. Not something you should be intimidated by any stretch of the imagination. Thanks for watching. We're gonna have a bunch more of these coming out with a bunch of different products featured with a bunch of different bows. We're gonna teach a lot of new things. So if you do have something that you wanna see or any questions, feel free to contact us on Facebook or comment on the video below, and we'll be sure to hit you up with some new videos.